this video, we're going to be looking at the Polar UA085 soft serve machine. So this is the small and compact version. What we're going to do is we're going to run through the initial startup, unboxing, how to operate the machine, how to clean it, and obviously lubricating it and looking after it. So to start with, we shall do an unboxing. So let's look at exactly what we get in the box. So we've unboxed our machine. We come with a box of bits and bobs that are in here, which obviously quite a few stuff going on here. So let's run through it. So first off, we got a nice spray bottle here. This is put your sanitizer in to clean the machine down, keep us nice and safe. We've got an extension pad here. This is for the drain on the front of the machine. So this will go into the drip tray. So essentially it goes onto the machine and into the drip tray, allowing any mixture, any moisture, anything like that build up to be caught in the tray and not go on the floor. Nice and handy. We've got the seal. So this is the main seal, which goes on the actual operating part inside the machine. So this will seal the front of the machine, stop any liquid coming out. Food grade lubrication. So again, this is paramount. So any sort of moving parts which have rubber seals and stuff, we shall be lubricating them up to make sure that they are sealing properly and of course looked after and going to maximize their life cycle. We've got a air bleeding system. So this is more for service. So this will go and drain the air pump. So we don't need to worry too much about that, but keep it safe. And then we come to our cleaning brushes as well. Again, these are great for getting into those hard to reach areas inside. We've got some dispenser caps. So depending on what sort of finish you're looking for in your ice cream. So it's good to have a little play around with them and just see what effects can be made using the different caps. We've got the expanding tube, which goes at the top of the unit, and then you can adjust the volume of flow of basically of liquid that goes into the machine. So if a thicker liquid, you can adjust and so on and so forth. And then last but not least, we have the handle itself, spring loaded. So this go onto the machine itself and allow you to draw off the ice cream. So what we can do now is strip the machine down, ready for cleaning, and then thoroughly flush it through. So the end cap that comes with the machine does pop off. It's a little tough, but it does come off. Then we need to remove these thumb screws. Keep them safe. And then the front of the machine should pop off. There we go. So note, we've got the seal on here. So these are going to be lubricating. And of course, we've got the plunger here, which also has some seals on. So this pops out. And then you can see on here, you've got two seals. Again, these are going to be lubricating. Inside the front of the machine, take out the beater. And then on here, then, you can see where those scrapers sit. So again, it's worth noting where they sit and the angle they sit, because they can adjust slightly to sort of go with the flow of the cylinder to make sure they're getting and being as effective as possible. And then you've got the unit in here, which obviously turns, which locks into the unit at the back there, the coupling unit. So then that is all attached, nice and simple. Turns, allows the ice cream mix to come out. To remove the coupling unit inside, just pull it off. And then you've got another seal on here. And then just making sure you're aware of which way goes which. So the longer end goes in first, the shorter end out of the machine. And then all that can be gone to be cleaned, nice warm soapy water, and then ready to assemble for the first use. So what we're going to do now is lubricate the parts ready to assemble the machine for the first use. So you'll notice on here we've got the large O-ring, so this can come off. And then what we do, grab some of our food grade lubricant and then just give that a nice coating to make sure it seals well and of course keeps the material in top condition. So nice coating on here, place that back on. And then we do the same with the other seals. So we've got some O-rings on the feed hopper. So again, let's put lubrication on there, on here. And then we do the same here. So this can turn and lift out. So we've got two seals on here. and one on here. On the base here, we've got another 2 here as well. Now it's worth checking that these are always in good condition, because they can quite easily tear and rip, especially if there's not enough lubrication on there and it catches or pinches. So it's worth noting that. And of course, this is always the practice to do after you've washed them. So once they've been thoroughly washed, sanitized, cleaned, reassembled, and then lubricate the seals back up again. So make sure we're always nice and clean and tidy. That pops back in, and you'll notice there is a notch on there. So then that will match up with that, and then that allows us to change depending on the flow rate we're looking for. So we've got our seals on there done, seals on there done. Now we're ready to put the machine together. So we've put our coupling unit in, so now it's time to put the beater in. Just paying attention to the edges of the beater here to make sure it's in the right position. That should slide in, give it a turn, and then it should click into place. So what we want to look for as well is we've got this triangle sort of area here, which then sits in the recess on this front here. So we want to make sure we're lined up. So we've got the triangle point facing up. So then that will allow us to put the beater on properly. Before we do that though, what we're going to do is insert the tube here. So then nice and lubricated, this should now slide in freely, which it does. And then that allows us to position the front of the machine on. Nice and easy, just should lined up with the screw holes. Push the machine back so it's sitting flush. And then it should sit flush. On here, check each side, making sure that the seal or the gasket is facing the face correctly, so we're not going to get any leaks. Reassemble the thumb screws here. So again, these can be tightened up. Doesn't need to be ridiculously tight, just hand tight is more than enough, just to make sure we're getting that nice seal on the gasket. So that's that piece done. So the other pieces we've got, we have the handle itself, again spring loaded, and that sits in there flush. Spring loaded part pointing downwards, that will then allow us to manipulate the unit to push the pin through, and then the pin sits there, and now we've got an operating machine. So that's should be free, nice, returning properly, and that's an indication that we're lubricated properly, and of course the mechanism's in the correct position. From here we choose our designated design. This clicks on. It's quite a fiddly one, but you should hear a click. That's now ready to go. And then we've got our drip tray, which just hangs on the front here, nice and simply. And then you've got the little drain tap here, which can just go in here like so. Aside from that, we need to assemble the top half of the machine, which we'll do once we've run the water through, because what we're going to do now is flush the machine, get rid of any debris, any sort of dust, any sort of manufacturing grease, anything like that, flush the machine through properly, and then we're ready then to put the top half assembly in and then use to operate the machine. So what we've done now is we're keeping the expansion tube out to allow the water to free flow into the machine. Got some clean, cold water, pour that into the machine itself. And again, we're doing 2 things here. We are checking that there's no leaks on the system to make sure, obviously we're not getting water coming out, because obviously it's easier to clean the water up than it would be the ice cream mixture. And as I said earlier, we're flushing the machine through to make sure it's nice and clean, ready for operation. So we filled it up with water. What we're going to do now is switch the machine on. There's the little button under here with the on-off switch. We'll come on the preloading screen, and then we're ready to go. So on here, on the dashboard, you've got the wash and the freeze. So what we're going to do now is we're going to press the wash cycle. What that's going to do is going to start the machine in motion. So the beater inside is going to start rotating, and then the water is going to start flowing through and get washed around inside the cylinder without the machine freezing down. So we're not going to freeze the water. So this is a great way to flush the machine out and of course not get ice. So we turn that on. The machine will then start operating. It's nice and quiet, this machine. because the refrigerant isn't kicking in. And now the water is obviously flowing through, it's washing through the cylinder nicely. And what we can do now is start drawing that off. So we've got the handle here, pull it down. And what I'd like to do as well is lift the handle up now and again and just check that we've got no leakage from anywhere. It's nice and sealed. We know our seals are doing their job and we're ready to go. So we can just keep now drawing the water through. And again, what this is going to do is just keep the machine nice and clean, ready to add in the mixture that we're going to be using. So it doesn't take much because we didn't put much water in. So it's pretty much empty now, and maybe a few drips left, which we can deal with. Turn the handle off, stop that. Now we can assemble the top half of the machine, put the mixture in, and we're ready to make ice cream. Now the machine's been flushed through, all the seals are working, we've got no leakages, we can now start to put our mixture into the machine. So what I'd like to do is just pop out the extender unit there, and that allows the mixture to go into the machine more freely and essentially help to prevent any sort of air blocks and gaps and so on and so forth. So we're ready to go, so let's fill the machine up. So now the machine's full of our mixture, what we can do now is set the machine to operate. So we're going to press the freeze button here. That's going to now kick in and start the process of chilling the mixture down inside the cylinder and then freezing it. Now a little bit of a tip, so what I normally do is after maybe a couple of minutes is I'll draw some of the mixture off. What this is going to do is going to eradicate any risk of any air blockages, air gaps, which could then freeze and stop the machine from operating. So if you find once the machine's on, nothing's coming out, or it's coming out really slowly, or just a little bit's coming out, it could be due to an air gap. So what I like to do just to eliminate that process is just to draw a little bit off every now and again as this freezing cycle comes down. And of course, we don't need to waste this. This can just go straight back in the top. And away we go. What we don't want to do though is utilize any of the frozen mix, because that could then block the machine up. So we just want to flush it through to make sure we've got no air gaps. And again, because we've done the pre-wash, we've cleaned the machine out, the system itself should be nice and clean, ready to make ice cream.
Shop now at nisbets.co.uk.